to make an update regarding what's going on. We've had some pretty important updates since our last episode with Quentin. So I'm going to start off with the big stuff and then try to go down everything else that I've been learning. So for those who are not aware, San Francisco has declared a state of emergency. Even though they claim there are no confirmed cases in the city, I still have some suspicions about what's going on. Hold on, let me open up the Restream chat here. Actually, that should be fine. All right, cool. We should have a little bit of interruption, and then we should be live. Okay. Let me check my volume real quick, and then we'll get started. Having some technical issues over here as well. But yes, so San Francisco has declared a state of emergency. We got a couple other issues currently going on. Let me just check this. Just checking. Okay, cool. So yes, not only that, but the CDC has made an announcement today where they are claiming that... Hold on, checking the audio. Good. Okay, so, because usually at that point we get some crackiness. So anyways, yeah, CDC has made an announcement that they want the United States citizens to prepare for major disruptions to our lives. It's looking like the stuff we were saying about a week ago, and I'm not pretending to be an expert in this field. To me, it seemed like they were buying time. And not only that, but the World Health Organization has pseudo-announced that the virus is sort of a pandemic, but not really. Again, I did read that they had changed the definition of pandemic a while back. I just find it a little convenient that, we even had comments in our chat saying, we're expecting a Monday announcement that they're going to be calling this a pandemic. And then, oops, we don't call it that anymore. So my best guess is they are trying to buy time for the economy and also trying to buy time for the nations of the world to get ready, to prepare for this. I think that what we saw in Wuhan, what we saw in all the other areas, mainly Wuhan and the Hubei Peninsula, I think is how they call it. All those things, it was the worst we've seen, but I just have a feeling like, for instance, let's take a look at Iran. One of the big updates recently was one of their health ministers. He was visibly sick, and a press statement they had, or a press conference they had, he was wiping his forehead down. He looked exhausted. He looked like the guy was going to keel over. And what did we find out? He's got the coronavirus. We saw the same thing in David Abel from the Diamond Princess. I was watching his live streams, and I was noticing his face was getting redder. He was coughing. His wife was coughing. And he just was looking more fatigued as time progressed, but apparently he was negative. Well, now he's in critical condition. I hope he feels better. I hope he recovers as soon as possible. But what does this mean, guys? I think we are on the verge of a emergency that none of us have ever faced before. That we have some choices to make. And I think that in order to best prepare, I think now it's time, get your food, get stocked up, be ready for this. And I know a lot of preppers are talking about having a year's worth of food ready. It's definitely not a bad rule of thumb. I would say at the minimum, have a month. Just have food. In fact, I think I'm ready for the long haul here, but in case I will be doing another run tomorrow. I'm not really afraid of the virus. I would say I'm more afraid of the government, policies. Not really because I think they're horrible, but I guess what I'm saying is, if there is a lockdown, I'm right outside of Baltimore. I'm practically in it. Not only that, but I also just don't really trust panic. Those are the two things I'm most concerned about. We don't know a lot about the virus still, sure. I think the issues happening in Italy right now, we aren't really going to know the mortality rate over there until some significant time has passed. As we have learned from the numbers brought up from China, this virus is slow moving through someone's system. So once you start displaying the symptoms and really getting sick, it could take up to 30 days to recover, or also could take that amount of time to die. So we're not going to truly know what's headed our direction. Not until at least we're in the thick of it. Could be a bunch of nothing. I'm hoping it's a bunch of nothing. But it doesn't mean I'm counting on it. Where my head is right now is to, I don't think we're going to have to deal with the worst of humanity, but in case that does happen, I'm prepared. I've got my essentials here. I've got, again, I have water diffuser. I've got, supplies. And we may not need to use it. But really, what is buying some extra cheap non-perishables compared to potentially being locked down? We got footage recently from Wuhan. I'll try to share this in the comments of apparently the city at night, and there's a clip of it's haunting. It's all of these skyscrapers of apartments or just apartment complexes, and people are just howling and screaming in misery, just in pain, and they're losing their cool. They've been stuck in apartments, like jail cells, for 30 days. And how long can one really deal with that? Not only that, but how long can you deal with that relying on the government to give you supplies? Or would you rather have your own stash? Would you rather be able to pick and choose right now going to the grocery store? Or would you rather trust panic and wait until everyone else panics and runs out there and grabs stuff? Again, it's not necessarily about the devastating effects of this virus per se. Could be, might not be. I did do some homework. I researched some stuff about the influenza pandemic, because we did make some comparisons, and I did find out that yes, the mortality rate of COVID-19 seems to be diminishing. I don't know if that means it's going to be a consistent 2 or lower. I have read that the majority of the higher mortality cases happen to be older. But again, this is on data that might be faulty. I don't know. I've been trying to listen to different scientists who have backgrounds in the field, comparing their notes. Some of them think that this is a lot worse. Some of them think it's not as bad. But I think it has become a scientific consensus at this point that it's on the way, that it's coming. So let me double check, make sure I'm still in here. All right, cool. So that's kind of where I am at the moment. I don't really have a tremendous amount of good news at the moment. I think that the best news, especially for us in the States and other countries around the world, is that we have time. How much time, I don't know. And that's really, let me adjust this real quick. There we go. I gotta get a bigger green screen. So how much time? I don't know. I'm not quite certain. I do know that, well, not know, but one of the things that has bothered me about this situation is the only way that we have found to be truly effective about combating COVID-19 is draconian measures, is using major lockdown, or in the case of one city in China, martial law. And right now, we're 2 months in? Like at least one, again, a good chunk of the country is still locked down. Because of this, we don't necessarily know how long lockdown is really effective. Those people are going to have to get back to work. And this is a virus that apparently you can be reinfected with. This was actually mentioned on MSNBC. Was it Scott Gottlieb? He mentioned this right at the end of his interview. He made an offhand comment about it. This is the former chairman of the FDA, former head of Pfizer. I think he's still, he's on the board of Pfizer. So this is a guy who knows his stuff. This is not this conspiracy talk stuff. This is what experts are saying. So other experts are saying that we're going to be dealing with this. Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, thanks for dropping in. Sorry, I got a message here. Thanks for dropping by, buddy. So, yeah, that being said, I'm looking forward to hearing people's opinions. I know our last stream, we had a lot of people chiming in, a lot of people commenting, letting us know where they are. Federal Drug Enforcement. Yeah, FDA. Correct. Um, but yes. Scott Gottlieb is probably one of my favorite commentators when it comes to or favorite experts in the field here. He's been right on the money, very blunt, very obvious, very honest about what's going on. He's not really sugarcoating much. Um, yeah, I can see you, Andrea. Yeah, how you doing? I see you. Sorry, the camera's actually blocking the chat. Let me go move it real quick. But yeah, I see you, Bill. Can you hear? Can you get the messages I got? Cool. Actually, let me go share my Periscope on my Twitter. Yeah, let me go do that real quick. Let's see. Oh, good. Oh, I got an update from Wuhan. So also, I mentioned this before. I do have a contact from Wuhan that I've been talking to, confirming a lot of these videos that I've been finding. She's been very invaluable. Her name, her Facebook name is called DY. I believe has been featured on some major news outlets, and I was very thankful for her for giving her insight in our group chat we have. But it does seem like a lot of the things we are suspecting happen to be true over there, and we're really pulling for them. She has a website called Wuhan Warriors. I'll try to get the address in a little bit. I'll try to put it in the comments at least. They're having a hard time. I think the biggest thing over there right now is because of all that self-imposed isolation going on. Mental health is becoming an issue, and same with our friends in different regions of China. There's one thing that I've been hearing constantly about from China. It is mental health. People are they're kind of deteriorating, and it's definitely getting rough. So anyone who's checking in right now, hey, what's going on, Melody Pond? Anyone who is in different areas, who's in different regions, I would love to hear from where you are, what you're doing, how you're preparing. The way I see this is there's a statistic I found recently that was very disheartening. And again, Scott Gottlieb confirmed this on major news. This is major networks here. Again, I'm not using like fringe websites and stuff like that. He had cited that the number of people total tested in the United States right now. Of course. Hey, Michelle. Thanks for tuning in. It's nice seeing you again. I haven't seen you in a while. So Scott Gottlieb brought up that about 414 people have been tested in the United States total. Now, one of the things that's very concerning about this is we have roughly 8,000 people in quarantine, self-quarantine, which is even more concerning. So what this means is we have 8,000 people, and we're essentially using the honor system for that. They have to stay home. They can't go out. This. And if they spread something, we probably don't know yet. So there was actually a classified meeting with the Congress. I believe it was yesterday or today before the CDC announcement. And I had a suspicion that they were going over what my fears are, which is we most likely have outbreaks. We most likely have community transmission right now. And the reason why is we don't have adequate testing. And of all the people I've been following Peak Prosperity, MedCram, and again, I try to look up for any interviews with Scott Gottlieb. This seems to be the number one thing that experts tend to be most concerned about, which is if you take a look at the countries currently with the highest rates of infection, it not unsurprisingly happens to be correlating with the same countries that can test the most. So the most, I guess, concerning prospect about all of this is the reason our numbers are low are possibly because we're simply not testing. There's been reports, anecdotal evidence of people trying to be tested in the United States I've been reading about. Again, it's anecdotal because it's Reddit, it's firsthand stuff, but worth pointing out there. And apparently, so testing in the United States is not easy. It's very difficult to do this. So it's a whole heap of issues. So now, a lot of people, even if they feel they are, potentially infectious or they're sick themselves, they won't be able to find out at all. So where does that leave us? Where does this leave the average citizens? Well, we're going to have to be super vigilant about where we are. We don't know where outbreaks are. I mean, I'm right by BOUI. And our friend, Michelle, you're in New York. We have other friends here that are from Baltimore, different regions. We have, oh yeah, our friend. We have a friend in Brazil. We got an update here. We got new cases in Brazil right now. It's it's intense. It so now as of this point, every every continent aside from Antarctica at this point has infections. So we are dealing with a pandemic. We have community transmission across multiple continents, Europe and Asia, multiple countries. There's several of them that are getting community transmission right now. It's the definition of it. But I'm trying to, I guess, be as, um, I guess I'm trying to be as open-minded and empathetic as possible to the WHO, because I get it. By using the word pandemic, there comes a lot of issues. You know, we have a lot of panic. The Dow Jones is going to plummet, which we've already lost $1.7 trillion in the stock market as of, I think it was yesterday alone, just up in flames. So I get that, but we need to know. That's the big problem here. We have to know, and until we know, I mean, we're getting like little innuendos and little hints here and there. The big thing was the CDC announcement today. I mean, effectively at this point, the CDC is saying that be ready for outbreaks. You know, prepare yourself for outbreaks. You know, assume major disruptions to your life. Come on, guys. You know, I think you guys have seen in my prior streams, I was not very alarming about this. I tried not to be. I tried to point out what was concerning, what could be heading this way. Well, now the time I think it is, now it's time to be concerned, I think. I think at least now to be aware. Melody says, for self-quarantine, do they have any way of getting supplies to them, or are they just leaving up to the potentially infected to not spread it to other people? I don't know. I have to look that up. I'm not quite sure what the policy is for self-quarantine. It could be a case of they get them supplies. I think they do. I believe they do, because I was listening to one person. No, that was not self-quarantine. That was mandatory quarantine. Never mind. I don't know. I don't know. And really the thing that concerns me the most about self-quarantine is the fact that we are using the honor system. I mean, how do we monitor 8,000 people to not leave their home ever? And now we're also finding out that the virus can travel through vents. There was a Hong Kong instance where apparently there was community transmission through an apartment building through the pipes. So that's a whole other set of problems. It's just such a hard virus to protect, to anticipate. Right after we started quarantine for 2 weeks, we started finding evidence that the incubation period is longer than 2 weeks. So what does that mean about everyone who's been through the incubation period or who's been quarantined? As a result, we might have some stragglers. I mean, it's ridiculous. So it's kind of maddening at this point. I mean, there was an article from the Atlantic that was saying that most of Earth, or at least a good percentage of Earth, they're going to be introduced to this virus. So it makes you feel kind of hopeless. Like, okay, well, one of our best objectives for all of us here, guys, is to make sure our immune system can fight this. Because again, the mortality rate, thankfully, it's not Ebola. It's not the Black Death, but we have to make sure our immune system is up and ready to fight this. So, I mean, vitamin C, I've been reading multiple reports over the years that it's sort of effective. It's not effective. I would say make sure if you have vitamin C, get it from foods, but that's not really going to be the number one thing that's going to get your immune system up and ready to go. So MedCram had some good arguments. They were bringing up the scientific studies behind sleep and how it's related to the immune system. Now, is it the only thing you should do? Well, of course not. But will sleep increase your chances of fighting the virus? You bet it will. And you're talking to some guy with some severe insomnia. I'm trying my best. I don't get very good sleep. But it is imperative we try. Now let's talk about ways to optimize sleep. So, one of the things I would advise against is trying to take sleep pills. Sleeping pills, for the most part, I mean, some are kind of, they're sort of effective. Other ones are like, for instance, melatonin. Melatonin has downsides to it. The amount of melatonin our body needs to produce when we're going to sleep is not much. It's actually, I think it's like something to the effect of zero point 0.2 milligrams of melatonin. So if we take like any over-the-counter melatonin, which typically low doses are 2 milligrams to maybe 5 milligrams, sometimes 10, you're talking about a tremendous amount of melatonin that our body is not naturally ready to accept. So what's going to happen is the first night you use melatonin, you're going to sleep like a rock. Sometimes. But then your body's going to start getting used to that abundance of melatonin, so it just won't be producing much melatonin anymore. So now you have a dependence on this drug. And a lot of times, the more you depend on it, the less effective it is. I've also read reports that it can mess up your endocrine system. It can just throw a lot of things out of whack. So I'd highly recommend, if you take anything to help you get some sleep, avoid melatonin if possible. If you want to take things to help you get some sleep, L-theanine is okay. I've also taken GABA. Ashwagandha is excellent. I think ashwagandha is one of my favorite supplements out there. I would recommend getting Sensoril ashwagandha. You can also get KSM 66, but Sensoril is really good because, especially during this period of time, cortisol is going to be a gigantic problem, which is a stress hormone. So if our cortisol levels are through the roof, and understandably so, mine are, a little heightened right now. If we have elevated amounts of cortisol, we're not going to get good rest. So one of the big things we need to do in order to get our immune system to be able to combat this the best it possibly can is getting good sleep. So if stress is a big thing keeping you up, then I'd recommend maybe some ashwagandha. Some people use CBD oil. That works for them. Again, I'm not a doctor, so I need to make that really clear right now. Valerian root. Okay, I think it's not based off valerian root, because I've taken valerian root, and that seems to help me out too. So I'm wondering if that's that. But hey, nice to see you again, Tassel. Great to have you back. But yes, so that's a good thing too. Valerian root, yes, I can say that's pretty good. Chamomile, that's not bad. I think I mentioned before GABA. GABA's not bad either. It's really good for brain health. But those are pretty solid ones. Obviously, another thing, and you can tell I'm not doing a good job surrounded by lights right now, is avoiding blue light. Blue light can be horrible for sleep. I struggle with it. Like it's one of my weaknesses, and I've got to get the hang of it. Is staying away from blue light. I actually would, if at some point I might get like a blue light filter for my computer. Now for the lights above me, I'm out of luck. But yeah, so that's a good one. I've also read reports that apparently celery is pretty good for helping you sleep as well. I got celery powder, actually. I should have taken some today. But I have some of that stocked up. That should help me with some of my macros I need to cover. Also, getting an adequate exercise is a good idea. I actually might be picking myself up a stationary bike. I usually go to the gym myself, but I'm anticipating the gym is not going to be a place you're going to want to go to. Yes, that too. I actually had to cut out all stimulants, and I got to say, I have more energy than I ever have just getting rid of stimulants. I used to go hard with pre-workout, beta-alanine, tons of caffeine, all that stuff. But to be honest, the best stimulant I've had lately is probably B12. This is a multivitamin or multi-B vitamin. That's been pretty handy. So those are good. Getting good sleep is very good. Also having a good nutritious diet is pretty good in general. You want to cover all your macronutrients. It's good to it's good to take a multivitamin, but you're gonna get better results if you get your nutrients from your food. Period. It's always the best way to get nutrients. It's always highly recommended by any doctor you talk to. You really want to head that direction. So that's one big thing is having your sleep up, having your nutrition up, covering your bases. So next is getting non-perishables. Now, the first thing you're going to think is, okay, if I'm covering my macros and I want to make sure I eat well, it is not easy to eat well with canned foods. I get that. I have to calorie count a lot. I'm still trying to lose a little bit of weight myself. So, I do a lot of intermittent fasting at times. That seems to help me out. But, a lot of the canned foods are going to have a lot of sodium. So you got to make sure you don't just completely live off of canned foods. Canned pineapple is not bad. That's pretty solid. I actually stocked up on a lot of decaf and coffee, but again, I'm probably going to stick just decaf for now. So canned foods. Protein's a tough one. Getting a good, if you especially want to go like dieting level stuff. But again, it's hard to say, having a balanced diet with canned foods is tricky because you pretty much want to go for fresh foods. At least if you want to get the right nutrients. But you can do fine with canned. For instance, I have a lot of beans. Like beans are really good. Get good protein in there. It's not too caloric depending on what the beans are in. Lentils, they'll last forever. Highly recommend lentils. Actually, I have a bunch of them. I've not cooked them yet. Oats. Oh my god, I think oats are incredible. Oats give you a lot of fiber, gives you a lot of natural energy. You can eat them at the beginning of the day, and you can just run off of oats for a long time. So I highly recommend oats. They're dirt cheap. You can cook them even without a microwave, so get oats. But if we're talking for survival purposes, if we're talking we are locked in our apartment and we got to stay in there, rice. You can get a big bag of rice. You can you can eat off that for a long time. To cover a lot of my nutrients, I also got some nutritional yeast. I've had benefits with that pretty well. So other foods. I mean, I don't think we're going to lose power. I mentioned that before. So getting frozen food's not a bad idea. I've got a lot of frozen chicken breast I've been saving up. A lot of lean protein in there. Let's see. Ramen. Now, again, ramen, again, for survival purposes, if we're talking just survival purposes, you want to get some cheap food, high calorie content for little money. Ramen's one of the best out there. Like you get a good amount of calories for nothing. Also, I'm kind of a fan of ramen. But you have to bear in mind the sodium content of ramen is very high. You're not really getting anything nutritious from ramen. So keep that in mind. If you want to, if basically it boils down to keeping the engine running versus keeping the engine clean. And that's the hard part of survival nutrition is how do we keep that balance? I think that having some ramen for extra, carbohydrates for energy, it's okay. Like one. I think having a way to do cardio. Hey, Cross, great to have you back, man. It's nice seeing you. Having a way to do exercising is not a bad idea. Which again, that's why I'm trying to get like if you look at marketplaces, everyone's trying to get rid of workout equipment, and so I found a stationary bike someone's just trying to get rid of, and it looks pretty good. I checked it out, but having a way to do that's a good idea. Hey, Alex, great to see you, man. Good point, Alex, but come on, that's the seasoning on ramen. I've been doing a lot of dieting over the years, but I couldn't turn that down, bro. I love the seasoning. It's like the best part, buddy. But yeah, for me, like I'm learning how to resist right now. All the food I've got stocked up. Ramen's a tough one. Like not destroying my ramen has been the big one. Another, what's been a good one is collecting pasta, and one of the ones that I've enjoyed a lot. I had some today. Is chickpea noodles. I had some chickpea pasta, and I mixed it with soy sauce. It was awesome. It was really good. So that's a good idea. Soups are okay. I mean, they're good as like a little snack if you don't want to like overdo it on the calories. But really, the big thing we're looking at here is again, you're keeping the engine running, and if you can, keep the engine clean. We are talking about foods to stock up on. Basically, I think now is the time to start storing some food. Go to the store, get some non-perishables. And so when it comes to non-perishables, it's really oh no, I'm not joking at all. Definitely not joking at all. If the reason I say I'm not joking is at this point the CDC is telling us to prepare. Again, San Francisco has announced a state of emergency. Food is look at supermarkets in Italy. They got hit real quick, and when they did, you can't. If you go to a lot of these stores, Milan's not even locked down. And if you look at the photos of Milan right now, it's just been wiped clean. Like nothing's at the supermarket. Like I think when panic sets in the United States, that it's good to be safe, that's so. No, I'm definitely being genuine about this. I know I sometimes goof off my wall a lot, but no, I'm being for real, bro. Really, I didn't know that. 284 new cases in Korea today. As I was pointing out earlier, I think Korea has a high rate of infection because they're simply testing. The U.S., I mean, testing 414 people when you have 8,000 in self-quarantine, dude, that's a recipe for disaster. There has to be some localized transmission at this point. I'm sorry. It's impossible. So let's keep going though. Uh, yeah, dude. I don't know, Alex. That's a great question. I think that if I was in San Francisco right now, I'd be hitting the store. I mean, I think over here we have some time, but because of the unknowns we have in this scenario, we don't know how necessarily bad the virus is in the long run. We don't know because it's such a slow moving virus. We don't know much about we know a good amount about the incubation period, which is not a very good one because it takes forever. The transmission rate at this point is still being calculated. It could be as high as 6.6 on the R naught scale, which for R naught, the R naught value, I'm sorry, the R naught value of this, it just supersedes most viruses out there. Yeah, it's not measles, but it's way worse than the flu for sure. Um, Interesting, Tassel. So calling it that name for the virus, I'm assuming it's because you've checked out Peak's Prosperity because that's where they coined it. But yes, I agree. Let me go read some comments actually. So we got, because I did that last time. I gotta get better at doing that. So let's go skip up here. So Tassel says fresh ground peanut butter and dude. Okay, speaking of that, I have actually been checking out. If you want to talk about great macros, I have been really enjoying powdered almond butter. The amount of the macros in that are excellent. And I have a big thing of peanut butter, but the peanut butter powder is so much better for you. And I mix that into like my oats. Great, good stuff. Let's keep going. We have to be prepared for two situations. First is not getting infected, and the latter is preparing for being infected. Right. But according to the Atlantic today, there is suggestion that 40 to 70% of the planet could be infected by eventually. So it really boils down to, yeah, dude. No, thanks for tuning in, Alex. Great seeing you, buddy. So what this boils down to is, I am preparing for potential lockdown. That's my big thing. Is preparing for that. Let's see. Good question, man. I don't know. Let me go down the other questions first. And I'll hit yours in a second. So yes. So followed up. It says the latter is more likely. Is yes, is being infected. Most of us won't notice the symptoms. That's the good news, at least from what we're gathering. And then we got the 240 cases in Korea. Let's see. Yeah. He says this scary stuff. Cross 2 says that's why it's important to use numbers for what's true. Correct. That's exactly what we're all doing here. And this is, in some ways, it's great that's kind of brought us all together here. But I wish there were better circumstances, right? Tassel says the Chinese virus is everywhere. Stock up when there's hardly anyone at supermarkets, i.e. early morning. Gotta avoid other people. Dude, I almost went to Harris Teeter because over here it's like 3 a.m. but there's 24-hour ones. It's awesome. Cross 2. Hey, Carlos, what's going on, man? Every day more and more people are waking up and stocking up. You'll be competing with corporations and government for supplies. Best not to delay. Yep, hard agree. So Brazil, I read, all I've read is there is a confirmed case in Brazil. But let's keep going. So he says, do you think we'll get to a point where we'll be running crematoriums and burning bodies? I don't know. I don't think so, but we never dealt with something like this before. I'd like to believe no, but it's hard to tell, man. All we have right now in terms of long-term data is how the Chinese handled this, and the Chinese stuff is so hard to get your hands on what happened. There's so many X factors we don't know about, so I don't know. I will say that if there's any country that can implement draconian measures to stop the virus, like mass bodies being burned and all this kind of stuff, China's one of the only ones. Like, I was telling from friends recently, can you imagine in New York, like if there's an outbreak, can you imagine the United States government ordering the building of a hospital in 9 days? I can't. Like, I can't see that happening. Carlos, I don't know if it's worth being scared about, buddy, because fear doesn't help. Fear doesn't help anybody. Are you from Brazil? Correct, Cross. South Korea at least, has done a superb job of detection. I really cannot stress that enough. Let me actually go share my Periscope real quick. Some other people. I got to put it on Twitter because my Twitter is being silly. Okay. Okay, cool. Now we're live. Cool. So we got a new comment here. Yeah. So I think the only way we're gonna fight this, Dominican Republic. Interesting. You're our first person to tune in from Dominican Republic. Thanks, man. Thanks for tuning in. Part of, again, the point of this channel is to be able to trade information from different areas of the world. I am from the United States, East Coast. And let's see. Communists do stuff like that. If we built a hospital in 7 days, if the root leaves, yeah, no. Right. So, and it's not an endorsement of authoritarian governments. Don't get me wrong. It definitely is not. But it's just it's something to keep in perspective here, that if it gets to that point, I don't know what our country would do. You know, like, how would the United States implement those kind of measures? We were seeing evidence of people being locked in their apartments, like being welded in. Could you see that happening in the States? Like, I don't know. You know, it's so hard to tell. So it just worth keeping your eyes on, man. It's tough. FEMA camps. You know, I've heard back in the old days, during our last stream tonight, the Doom stream we were doing, we were talking about some good old fashioned, like, early 2000s conspiracies. We were talking about that. We were talking about, like, 9/11, also stuff. And I remember, like, FEMA camp conspiracies. But if there was a time, this would be it. Tassel, a few days ago, Russia put out a directive for public transport workers to call in all Asians to Russian police. Wow, they're getting very draconian. Yeah, it is one country that could possibly have those kinds of measures. That is interesting. If you have a link to that, I'd be very interested to hear that report. That is huge. I would think our Corps of Army Engineers would build a hospital in 9 days. Oh, I'm not saying we don't have the ability to do that. I'm saying that it's like getting a permit and stuff. Like, the bureaucracy versus like someone, like, you know, like a dictator or something being like, yo, let's make this happen now. We have all the talent to do it. Don't get me wrong at all. But it has more to do with like, could we make them happen? Like, could we make, like, what they got, like 9, 10 hospitals in China right now? That's the question. And that's part of what makes a lot of these hypotheticals difficult. Not only that, but again, the numbers and the data from China are just so confusing and cloak and dagger. I mean, I know that the WHO has been talking about how, you know, oh yeah, they're very transparent. Well, their citizens, a lot of them don't seem to agree. This is also part of why I'm bringing the Wuhan person on here as soon as I can, because that, you want to get ground zero. She's in ground zero. So that's going to be a very interesting interview once we can get things up and running. Cross 2. Often Chinese do stuff to people like that, welding doors shut. It's often because people aren't following the rules. No one follows rules. Right. So, like, can you imagine that happening in the States? I don't know. It's tough to say. You know, there's a lot of possibilities as this comes on. But I will say one thing: things are not sunshine and rainbows. They're not, and it's not even a political thing. It's a, you know, are we gonna survive thing? I don't care about making it political. You know, I want to make sure we all have a fighting chance here. You know, for at least the guys in the States here. I know a lot of us are not in the States in the YouTube comments and Periscope, but a few of my other guys on here are. So I really don't care about the politics about all this stuff. I want to be all right. But that's most of the major news I've got. Let me go pull up my chat. I have a kind of a list of other updates over the past day to see if I didn't miss anything else. The sun. Okay, here's a big one. North Korea deals with yeah, I'm not sure if the sun is legit. All right, I'll read the headline anyways. You guys can determine yourself if it's legit. North Korea deals with coronavirus patient by executing them. Okay. That's intense. Let's see. Let's get some other updates here. Yeah, we got the Iran thing. Okay. What else? I think that's all the major stuff for today, guys. It was just, once I saw the state of emergency declared in San Francisco, it was like, yo, hold up, guys. Like, I gotta make a video. Harvard scientists are to collaborate with those in China on 115 million coronavirus effort. $115 million coronavirus effort. So that's promising. I guess some smart minds working on it right now. Let's see what else. Also, pancake mix, guys. Protein pancake mix. Not as tasty as the normal thing, but it's good protein. Capcom, the video game company, they officially pull out of PAX East 2020 due to coronavirus. Interesting. Let's see. Oh, yeah, the CDC outlines what closing schools, businesses would look like in a pandemic. Wink, wink. We know what's coming. Here's a line from the CDC. I'm going to pull up right now from BNO Newsroom. We are asking folks in every sector as well as people within their families to start planning for this because as we've seen from recent countries that have had community spread, when it hit those countries, it moved quite rapidly. So it says we can have community spread in the United States and have it reasonably mild. We can have community spread in the U.S. and have it be very severe. That's what we don't completely know yet. That's the CDC, guys, 14 hours ago. This is exactly what I was concerned about. This is why I have been trying to warn people because it just looked like this was heading south. The signs were looking were looking concerning, and that was one of the biggest concerns I have had throughout the last few days is we may have community transmission in the United States, and we don't know about it. And this is the CDC confirming those suspicions. Yeah, guys, here, let's see what else we got here. The PS5? I forgot they're making a PS5. Yeah, the PS5. There you go. Isn't that okay? Side note here. PS5. That's supposed to be completely backwards compatible, right? PS1, PS2, PS4, PS3. That should be cool. It says Cross 2. China. They don't want you. The China they don't want you. The China they don't want you to see. YouTube video by Sabatisa. Excellent channel by South African Living in Child. Very good. I urge others to watch it. I'll check it out, buddy. Thanks for the heads up. Cross 2, I have a friend and very high up in Honeywell. They saw this coming, not necessarily a virus outbreak, but the monitor of a million different things and saw something on the horizon. Interesting. Very interesting perspective. Hermit Permit. My country has sold out of masks and hand sanitizer. Sold out. We don't even have a case yet. New Zealand. Wow, that's interesting. Thank you, Hermit. I appreciate the heads up, man. What else we got here on updates for today? That was it. That's all the major ones I got today. Let's go take a look on the Reddit thread real quick. Just to see if I didn't miss anything new, because this is breaking really fast. You guys all know it just, things are going quick. 4 hours ago. Oh, wow. Dr. Bruce Aliward, renowned expert who led the team of experts in the ground in China, had a few alarming comments about the seriousness of the disease. Let's take a look. The bottom line is the virus kills people. It kills our elderly and vulnerable, but that's not always the case. Young people do die of this disease, even in industrialized zones. People are looking at this and saying, but in China, they don't have this. They don't have that. If I had COVID-19, I'd want to be treated in China. We'd go to these hospitals. How many ventilators do you have? 50, 60. A scale we aren't used to seeing. How many ECMO systems do you have? 5. We don't have that in Europe. When we look at how dangerous this disease is, we have to be careful looking at the China data. China know how to keep people alive from COVID. They are super committed to it, and they are making a massive investment in it. That is not going to be the case everywhere else in the world. It is a serious disease, and I worry that people are going to look at the China numbers and get a false sense of security. That's an interesting take. Wow. He says he goes on to share during the question period that he doesn't think there is a significant iceberg of mild cases that we aren't seeing in China because some community testing hasn't really shown that. This is alarming to me and something I was not hoping for. Holy crap, that is a hot take. That is a hot take. Wow. I have to check their conference out. It's on YouTube. So it's Dr. Bruce Aliward. I probably got the name wrong. That is a heck of a take. Let's keep going. 14% of recovered coronavirus patients in China, Guangdong, tested positive again. That's from pull the article right now. The Straits Times. I gotta see if they're legit or not, but that is concerning that they are getting this again. Let's see. So first confirmed COVID-19 case in Brazil, just after Carnival, a 4-day countrywide party which brings in 3 million people together. Oh boy, that's not good. Cross 2 says, I live in a resort ski town in Canada. The majority of people here Our ratio of 5 to 7 tourists to one local, 1.5 hours from the national airport. It will be here shortly. Hang in there, buddy. Especially if we go into lockdown, I'm going to be having this live show pretty often. I want to hear from you guys. We're going to work through this. We're going to get through this. Let's see. U.S. military says one of its soldiers based in South Korea has tested positive for the new coronavirus. The first American service member infected. That is AP? I think some AP. Associated Press. Associated Press. Wow. Okay. Let's keep going. Oh, boy. It's a discussion here. It's a Indian. And it says either India is doing a fantastic job protecting itself against the virus, or we are a bomb waiting to explode. I am very worried that it is the latter. I'm very worried about that. China sends Iran 250,000 masks. Something's going on in Iran. They're hiding something. Olympic official. Tokyo is looking at a cancellation if coronavirus not contained by late May. Fingers crossed. Coronavirus. Man receives $3,500 medical bill for test after returning to U.S. from China. He will be responsible for $1,400 of that bill. No wonder we're not testing enough. Nice. Wait, what? Hold on. 2 hours ago. Suspected case from Italy turning up in New York City. Hold on. What? Patient just returned from Italy. Bad symptoms, flu tests. Hold up. Let me double check that. This might be one of the cases we're most concerned about. So does that mean we have a case in New York? Yeah, it does. It definitely sounds like a Bernie. It does sound like it's a little more on the left leaning side of things. Correct. I'll try to get some evidence to find out if it's anecdotal or not. Do want to be thorough. You're right. Let's see. Spoke to ED doctor in the NY metro area today. Patient he saw today with fever and chills. A recent travel to Venice. Influenza swab negative. What to do next? Question mark. Confusion. Calls to country health department. Patient DC'd home. With discharge from home. I'm assuming with pending RSC panel. Coronavirus status unknown. We need POC COVID test 19 test now. So it might be in New York. That's insane. That's insane. Oh, Matthew, come on, bro. You don't have to be that negative. We already got a guy who's very Thanos about this. Come on, bro. Where are you from, Matthew? I think I've seen your name in here before. Maybe until tonight. You were on here earlier, weren't you? Let's see. Cross 2. There are rumors of a lot of cases in Albany. Well, you know how that is. I looked up the population density of New York. It's a lot higher than Wuhan. Wuhan's got a comparable amount of civilians, but it's not even close. It's like several times more dense than Wuhan. So the idea, if there is community transmission in New York, that is going to burn through that population. That's, again, one of the reasons I've been prepping ahead of time, because I'm in Maryland, so I'm 4 hours away maybe. You know, one of my bands played Brooklyn, BC. I don't think I get that. BCA? Oh. Well, thank you for joining me regardless. But yeah, no, we played Brooklyn like January. You know, I think it was January, early January, or maybe it was December, but it was like not long ago. It's not a long trip, guys. I've heard that, Tim. Yes, it even got the health minister. We were mentioning that a bit earlier. Thank you for joining us. British Columbia. All right. How are things up in British Columbia, my friend? Hope things are okay up there. But yes, New York. That's been one of the things I've been most concerned about, because if that ends up cold, good point, touche. If it ends up hitting New York, sure, by all means, happy to take any questions. Yeah, but yeah, New York. If I man, that's one of the big things I was concerned about. Because last week, it was a couple weeks ago when we had that one suspected case in New York, and the way they were talking about like if you notice any symptoms, wash this. It was like the way they were wording it was kind of like, I thought you have the one guy under wraps though. Why are you telling everyone to wash their hands and be precautious? Like, I got a little suspicious about that, and that's when I started kind of getting concerned. Like it was just a weird way to have a press conference. What we got? Melody. I don't know which part of New York though. My friend was in New York for 2 to 3 days. Tim, 11% fatality rate. 11% fatality rate and Iran, highest in the world. Iran's looking weird, man. One of my concerns is, maybe it mutated, perhaps? I don't know. Or what could have happened is they're not reporting enough people that were tested, and maybe the denominator is different. Mittens. I live in a college dorm right now. Say SHTF. At what point do you think I should head home and hunker down? Well, the question is where. What area are you in? That's a good start. Like signs you should watch for. Yeah, it just kind of depends on the region. It's a good start, but then I can try to go over what I can recommend. Cross 2. Did you see the Minister of Health? Yes, dude. That was like the first. Thank you for joining. Earlier, I brought that up. Like, that was so crazy, right? He's like wiping his head. He looks exhausted. He's coughing. Like, that was like from a movie. I hope he gets better. California. What part of California? Because I would say it might, it's worth monitoring for sure. It really depends on, if your family has anyone who's immunocompromised, if they're elderly. There's a lot to consider. I don't know if a college would be, would stock up, would be able to feed you guys. I don't know their emergency preparations. I mean, I would say the first thing I would do tomorrow is I would try to talk to people and staff and see if they do have a plan for the virus. Because if they don't, then I would start considering, just start at least bring it up as an option. Just see what they would do first. Vegas. Hey, so you from Vegas? I've not heard any evidence that there's anything in Vegas, but due to your proximity in, California, I would say my best recommendation, again, I'm an expert in the field, but I think it would not be a bad idea, let me double check, make sure my stream's okay. Yeah, good. I would say it's not a bad idea, to stock up on some extra food. Make sure, me? Oh, I'm not in Richmond, no. I'm in Baltimore. Oh, wait, you guys talking to each other. Ah, gotcha. It's too much. There's lots going on. I love how Bay Area. I love how lively this chat is. This is so cool. Like, we're able to have this conversation today. Because there actually is a Richmond sort of near me. We actually played a town called Richmond not long ago. Let's see. It's the damn Bay Area. I feel as soon as I hear a student gets it, I'm out. That's a good start for sure. Does your family have food? Have they prepared? Have they gotten some supplies and stuff? Dude, I wish I could. I'm like locked. I'll be ready to lock down right outside of Baltimore. That's one of my big concerns is, I'm not in the city, but I have a lot of friends. A lot of my friends are in the city. Interesting. I did not know that, Crust 2. Interesting. Let's see. The mayor of Mashhad, or what, I forgot the name, or whatever it's called, is infected and went to the mosque Friday prayer, hugging and kissing everyone. So foolish. Wow, I gotta look into that one. That's rough. Let me get this off. Getting kind of warm in here. And no, I don't have a fever, guys. I turned the AC off so it didn't interfere with the mic. So no, I'm not like, oh, I'm tired. Let's see. What else we got? Vancouver legit gonna be zombies soon. I don't know about that. So yeah, I would say the best course of action. Hey, Yasmin, nice to see you again. It's so great seeing your faces again in here. Really, it's great because I think that if this goes south, I think one of the things it's one of the silver linings I have here is we can all kind of use this as a means for us to stay in touch, talk. Yeah, go over that. Hermit, I'm made for this. Being told to stay. Sorry, dude. I got one of the few things that has been fun about this, aside from getting to meet all these new people, getting to meet you dudes and all this. I have turned my little apartment into like the Batcave, and like I'm ready. Like, I slowly go out and get supplies every day. Um, soy boys. Ooh boy, we're getting spicy in these comments here, everybody. It's the spicy comments. Vancouver is already full of zombies. Soy boys. Ooh, spicy. Very spicy. But yeah, so Mittens, yeah, all my prepping is at home 1 hour away. Good. I would say find out what their plan is. And if it does not seem like they're taking it seriously, then perhaps, again, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy who's concerned about this and is trying to find an outlet to talk to others about this and express my concerns. But not a bad idea. Definitely not a bad idea. So let's see. Yeah, facts cross too. What we got here? The downtown view. Yeah. When zombies come at me, I'm a hop. Yeah. Not a bad idea. Because dude, Baltimore, I'm gonna hop into a hazmat suit and slice them up, dude. I got a deal. I got my own hazmat suit I've put together already. I've totally got one of those lined up. I gotta let N95 masks. Quentin's doing good. I was supposed to have another guest tonight, but we had some technical issues, and that's why Quentin's not here because I was kind of having the other person on board. Quentin's doing good. I talk to him every day. We were chatting earlier. He'll be back soon. We got so much. It's happening so fast. But yeah. Macau is doing okay. The big thing with Macau right now is isolation. He's stuck at home, and like anybody, it's something that's gonna start wearing at over time. In fact, this is what this is. It's not the best thing in the world, but let me try to turn it on. Oh, it's not plugged in. Whoops, I'll get it later. So I have a light therapy lamp. It's not the best in the world, but if I'm stuck in here for a long time, I can use that to hopefully help with some mood issues. Because being cramped in here forever is, not the best. But yeah, he's doing good. He's doing good. I gotta say, he's definitely one of my favorite people I've met, and it's interesting how I think him and I think I talk to him almost as much as I do like some of the closest people that I know. We've just been chatting so much about this damn thing. Herman, I'm a broke student. Duct tape and rubbish bags is as good as it gets. Gonna buy a reasonable respirator though. Seeing those 95s, etc. are sold out. Correct. They are hard to get a hold of. I managed to grab a bunch of them. I got them back once I saw the New York stuff, but the fake positive. I was like, yo, okay, I'm preparing. I'm getting ready. What advices he gave to us? I'll watch your video. He really didn't give any specific advice today. Really, it's just, we were just trading info, just traded news. His big thing was also what's happening in Wuhan is when you're stuck inside your house for so long, it's going to wear on you over time. Now me, you're talking to a guy here that I grew up as a gigantic video game nerd as a kid. I got excited to stay inside. And so, for me, it's like, I think I'll be okay. My big thing is staying fit. Like, I really think my working out's going to suffer. So, not exactly the highest tier of issues, I live with my cat. My cat Jerry, he's sleeping. That's it. Got a bunch of cat litter, got a bunch of cat food, and I've stocked up on everything. So, yeah, the big thing I think would be is really other people. That's my concern. Oh, you have a cat too? Awesome. Yeah, that's the big thing, as other people. I'm ready because I don't want to be out there when things go south. And if or when, and it's looking like it's more of a when now, when they do, I ain't gonna be out there. I'm stuck in here with all my Jerry he's over around my closet. He's sleeping under my jackets. Once I go to bed, he wakes up and then he hops up next to me. He's my extra pillow at night. Actually, I post a lot. If you have an Instagram account, actually, I'll type my Instagram real quick. I post a lot of photos of Jerry. There you go. So yeah, you can follow me on Instagram if you want. And I post a lot of shameless photos of me hanging out with Jerry. He's my buddy. Alex, oh, my daughter has a cat, but family cat. Yeah, man, cats are awesome. I mean, pets are cool. Let's see. Let's see. Look at the stories of the Bosnian war survivors that were under siege. Very enlightening to know how things go. Community is most important. Solidarity. People, no matter what, how many guns were overrun. I'll have to look that up. That sounds awesome. Mittens, what are you concerned about other people? Well, I mean, I guess what I say is, what I mean is like, if we got to go out and, uh, and get groceries or go out and do stuff, I mean, people are going to panic. They're going to freak out. Like, I'm preparing because I know this is ahead of us. Like, this is coming. We got something on the way. And I want to look back on this period of time and know that I did my best to counter it. I don't know what'll happen. I don't think it's going to get violent out there, but if it does, I'll be ready. I got some defense now, but I don't know. Whenever push comes to shove, you see the best in people and you see the worst in them. And I think that so far, especially meeting all you guys and meeting a lot of other people in the chats and all this other stuff, we've seen a lot of the best of people. But the thing is, a lot of the people that we're going to see the worst of, a lot of them are the people that aren't taking this seriously because maybe they feel entitled to safety, and safety is not guaranteed to any of us. Nobody. We're not going to be guaranteed anything. And so once they realize that's been taken away, they'll do whatever they can to get back to that level of safety. Who cares? Who cares what other people are doing? That's the point of me contacting all my friends. That was a point of me putting these out there. This is a video game channel, man. And it's not even the main thing I do. My music stuff is really what I do. I teach voice for a living. I'm in a bunch of different projects. I do a bunch of theater stuff, a bunch of voice acting stuff, a bunch of singing stuff. That's what I mainly do. But then when I started seeing this going south, it was kind of like, dude, I want to do what I can, at least use whatever platform, no matter how big it is, and get it out there. But I don't know. I don't know what'll happen. But I think Baltimore is not as bad as people say it is, but there's still some rough areas around here. We still got some. I was in Baltimore on both days of the Baltimore riots. Thankfully, I was dumb luck. I was able to get out of there right before it went south on both days. But nothing wrong. I mean, I'm not saying anything bad about the people that rioted. I'm just saying, Baltimore is no stranger to violence. And I'm not necessarily in the city, but to get into Baltimore, 10 minutes, maybe. I'm right by there. And so that's I guess what I mean when I don't trust a lot of other people, because we've never really seen this kind of a crisis hit us. I mean, the riots are bad, yeah, but it ain't this. It ain't something where we might have to think about rationing. We aren't worrying in a situation where Baltimore, a city that is significantly more dense than Wuhan, might have to deal with a virus that spreads like wildfire. And we don't have an authoritarian government that could lock down everybody and build hospitals out of thin air and all these crazy things. And while not ethical, it's hard. You can debate that any a million different ways. We don't know if that's the only way to stop the virus, much less do we have the ability to do that. Let's see. Canada's healthcare system will collapse under the weight of our leadership is horrible. Be sure to plan to take care of you and those that are close to you. Very great point. Very good point. I have warned my family extensively. They are preparing. I am prepared to head to them. They are 45 minutes south of me if necessary. I don't want to because I don't think, because God forbid I pick something up and then I give it to them. They're older, But I'm ready for that. But I want to make sure that both of us are ready. All of our houses are ready, so none of us have to leave. It says we need to keep our immune system up. Yes, correct. And part of that is good sleep. Good sleep. Gasper, there are 43 cases in my country, Slovenia, but they were all negative. Good to hear. Keep yourself aware, because a lot of testing is not accurate. Matthew, I'm just gonna chill up here in the woods with me and my weed. Okay. That sounds like a safe plan. Tim, FEMA camps. Don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Yasmin says, and we need to think positive. Even if it's very difficult, since being aware earlier, take advantage of your intelligence. Okay. Yeah, we gotta be aware of this, guys. Definitely. And be aware of yourself as much as your budget. Luckily, I had some money set aside, and I still have a pretty good nest egg, and I've been using some money for emergencies just to get ready, so I'm doing all right. 2 or 3 weeks, yeah, buddy, dude, I got enough for probably about a few months at this point. I'm gonna hit the store anyways and keep going. I think I got a few more runs in me. Let's see. Just met with my pastor to share what I've learned. He was receptive, and we have doctors in our church. Hopefully they discuss. Good idea. Gasper. But the neighbor countries got 2 people infected, Austria and Croatia, and Italy has over 200 people and more. Italy is getting rocked. They're getting rocked. And again, they're one of the only countries that is reporting it, like, we're actually reporting things. So we don't know. Maybe we're getting rocked. Maybe the United States is getting rocked. Maybe your guys' countries are getting rocked. We don't know. We don't know yet. And I don't know if we will know until people start really passing away, unfortunately. I mean, look at the rates in China. It started small, and then all of a sudden, people started collapsing. And then numbers started skyrocketing. And they started doing it in a city that was not nearly as dense as some of the cities that we might have issues in. So it makes you go a little insane. Like, I haven't had a chance to catch up on a lot of my work lately. I'm lucky that I teach vocal lessons on Skype for the most part. I have a couple in-person lessons, but they're one-on-one. And I'm again, my immune system, I'm young enough. I'm in the right bracket. I diet, well. I exercise. Like, I think I'll be okay. But it's tricky. I mean, I feel horrible for cashiers right now, man. I feel horrible about that. Yes, Gasper. Interesting enough, yeah, they actually had to make some delays. Nintendo made an announcement about that because they can't get them from China right now. Knock on wood, I've got my Switch, so I'll be able to do some live streaming of my Switch when things are getting bad. So hopefully you guys can join me there. By the way, guys, if I do have another stream, even if it's not coronavirus related, I read all the comments, and I'm still happy to have these talks with you guys. One of the main reasons I'm doing other streams right now is because I'm trying to bring some normalcy back to just at least as much as I can to everybody. But it doesn't mean, like, if someone brings up, hey man, this is going on, I'm happy to talk about it. Don't get me wrong. So by all means, guys, please join me if you want. I'd love to have you guys around. It's always a blast chatting with you dudes. Yes, Apple pulled straight out of China, man. They completely pulled out of China. So just something to keep in mind. But yes, prepare for supply chain interruptions. Cross 2. Last things I need is diesel for the truck and to switch my tires. Good idea. I had mine checked not long ago. They seem they're in good shape. Yeah, it's been very complicated there. You mentioning Iran. I'm really pulling for people in Iran right now. Like, I cannot imagine how tough it is for those guys, especially given the fact that what did we get here? Hey, I found your comment. Thanks a lot. I'm gonna follow back. All right, cool. Yep, you found my photos of Jerry. He's my boy. That's Jerry. But yeah. So we gotta stay together. I think it's one of the few things here that seems to unite people is when we have Oh, thank you for the heads up. 23 confirmed cases. I think one of the few things that that is a positive in all of this is, and still the virus is horrifying, but uniting people against a common threat it's a good way to really. There's a very human aspect to this. I've been meeting so many people from different walks of life. I don't think there's many circumstances where all of us would be able to meet and get to talk and, share these experiences. Like, I didn't think I'd become friends with a guy from Macau with a master's in public health, or a person in Wuhan that, is reporting on the virus, or any of you guys. So my plan, and I think we can all agree on this plan, is friends before this goes bad, and we're gonna stay friends after this goes bad because none of us are going anywhere. So I want to make that deal with you. Make that commitment with you guys. Don't want to see anyone leaving. So I think part of that is communication. Part of that is awareness and decisiveness. So, Tassel, I'm thinking about migrating to Antarctica. Well, there are no cases in Antarctica right now, so possibly, yeah. One of my subscribers is worried because he's only 20 miles away from any infected person in Japan. He says that if he dies because of the virus, he says that, oh, wow, that's heavy. Well, keep me posted on how it's going, man. Hey, let's do it. Is that a... Yeah, fist bump. There you go. Oh, dude, I was telling you wrenching earlier. I got that therapy lamp thing. It simulates sunlight. One of the best supplements I've been taking lately is vitamin D, vitamin K, and C iodine, and that has been amazing for my energy. I love vitamin D, but yes, sleeping well is so important to your immune system. Don't get me wrong. So making sure cortisol's down, getting your rest, staying away from blue lights. Again, I'm not doing a good job at 3:55 a.m. I'm surrounded by blue light, but yeah. Thanks a lot, Rick. Appreciate you tuning in, man. That means a lot, and I'm glad you like it. I was getting worried that a lot of my Facebook friends are getting tired of this, so thanks for tuning in, buddy. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna be okay, but I'll let you guys know everything else that I learn and all the preparation stuff I've been figuring out lately. Let's see. Yes, kidney stones. Right, too much vitamin C can cause kidney stones. As I pointed out earlier, I think the best way to stock up on vitamin C is to get it naturally through foods. Yeah. Zinc is. Zinc is actually a supplement I take when I'm about to sing because it can help me fight off infection. So, yes, very good point. Very good point. Gesper, because I'm the only YouTube channel. I'm also the only channel that I have the balls to post. Okay. Interesting. That's an interesting type of, oops, that's an interesting kind of channel, buddy. I can't say I've ever heard much about those. As I said, a lot of different people from different backgrounds are meeting up here, and that's cool. So, a lot of different walks of life. Zinc is zinc is good. Yes, zinc is excellent. Zinc is very good. So, I think that does it for all the major stuff I wanted to bring up tonight, guys. I think this is the time. You know, I think earlier I was like hinting to it's time to prepare, but this is the time to hunker down, especially in the States. You know, the CDC wouldn't be saying these things unless they meant it. I think at this point in the chat, we got nobody from the States right now, probably because it's 3:57 a.m. and I'm crazy enough to stay awake. But it seems like a time that works out for you guys. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm probably gonna wrap up too. Thank you guys. Stay in touch. I want to see you guys' faces often. I'm on Instagram every once in a while. I've been doing a lot of stuff on here, but if you guys want to, follow me on there, it's Rob Bradley Music. Otherwise, I'll be back on here, guys. It's been an absolute. So yeah, over there, you guys are just waking up. I gotta go to bed. Yeah, it's getting late. But we're gonna be okay. You're just gonna eat the food anyways. Yeah. I just actually burned about. It's my first day burning about 1,300 calories. I'm doing my best to shed some weight. But yes, thank you guys. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna get through this, and it means the world that I get to hear from you guys whenever I do these streams. So I'll be back. Have a great night, and